I really hope, for this man's sake, that Nicholas Sturgeon writes his scripts and he really isn't coming up with half of this gaff himself. Because we get it, you're pro EU, but you're forgetting one fatal flaw in your plans that are seemingly unraveling from what I've been noticing briefly, which is actually the sole purpose that I'm making this video to begin with, is because I'm noticing more comments regarding people catching on to the fact that Sturgeon is more in favour of no Brexit at all than pushing for IndyRef 2 or pushing for a soft Brexit in order to then go for independence. And people are starting to catch on to that fact that it's a very strange turn of events that are unfolding here. And don't get it twisted, this isn't a ego stroking contest, but I have been trying to say to people, albeit my channel gets no fucking views really, that Nicholas Sturgeon is full of BS, and it's about time people woke up to that fact. So if this is the straw that breaks the camel's back, then I hope to fucking God it is. It's about time. That's not to suggest that events may take a different turn in the coming days or weeks, but it has been apparent for some time, as far as I'm concerned, that Nicholas Sturgeon couldn't give a shit one way or the other if we were independent, as long as we got to remain in Europe. And of course, that blind loyalty, no matter what type of deal we could possibly have ended up with, no matter the circumstances, no matter the prospect of independence, that kind of blind loyalty in itself, in my estimation, demands investigation to some degree, because it then becomes strange in the sense of, is she being sincere? Is she blinded by her far lefty rhetoric, or is it in fact a big fat juicy paycheck from somewhere? Because this blind loyalty to the European Union does raise its own questions. Anyway, but it's quite annoying having to watch and see what these twats are up to. And the only reason that I do it is because I never realised half of the stuff they got up to when they weren't talking about Brexit. Nonetheless, the way that they lead people on, the way that they are fooling so many independent supporters that are just wondering why she won't call for independence, why she won't do it. And then of course Blackford comes out to just make sure you're filled in, and all you need to know to stay on board with the gravy train, the fake gravy train that would fucking die in an instant if Article 50 was revoked. And I wonder how she would be able to explain herself if that ever came to be. Oh, it's Westminster's fault, oh, austerity, no, it's all their fault. All these promises she put in the back burner, everything she's postponed, every fucking promise she makes, she breaks. Every aspect of our society is nowhere near being considered mediocre, let alone relatively successful. Yeah, it's okay because we're progressive and inclusive and we're all in favour of immigration apparently. So, you know what I mean? Really, if we're failing as a country thanks to the SNP, the education's shambolic. I mean, need I go on? Anyway, so Blackford comes out to say, thanks to the MPs who joined the SNP, because they love to do this. They love to take the initiative and pretend that if it wasn't for their bravery, things wouldn't get done. The irrelevant little SNP party, which again disheartens me to say, but this is what they've become really. They're just nothing but an irritation. Vote against Theresa May's shambolic deal. We have won a short reprieve from Brexit. Oh. And of course, even with him, how are we expected to believe that the things that he claims about Brexit are in fact real? Because on one hand we're getting told to no end that Brexit was a campaign built on lies, so vote Remain because Brexit's bad. How do we know that the things that Ian Blackford says aren't exactly the same as what Sturgeon says, well, for the same reasons I should say, meaning that, is that a case of being blinded by far lefty rhetoric and ideology, or is it a case of a big fat paycheck coming from somewhere, or is there an actual case to be made here? Problem is, of course, being die-hard EU, no matter the costs, that does spring alarm bells to me. And the fact that you're not prepared to go all out for independence, that's an afterthought. That says it all. And I hope to fucking God more people wake up, because they are only prepared to exploit referendum supporters if the UK leaves the European Union and the Scottish National Party desperate to retain that membership, have one last ditch effort. And if that fails, they're fucked. We're fucked. They've wasted the only ever chance you'll probably see of a referendum anytime soon, if that's what you were really hoping for. And of course, where would the SNP go from there? I mean, I suppose that is a benefit, because I can't stand their far left shit anymore. But nonetheless, so we continue to enjoy the benefits our EU membership brings. Oh, Jesus, you know what I mean? Got to keep you in tune with everything EU in order to conjure up the support, keep the support train going. But a couple of drip feed sessions here and there to bum up the EU at every fucking possible turn. Tonight, MPs get the chance to take back control from the Tory government and build consensus and a way forward from the crisis it created. There is now a real opportunity to stop Brexit. Now, why would they want to stop Brexit? Because if they stop Brexit, they've got no mandate. Why would the SNP, who have done nothing but build support on the back of a claim that they were going to activate their mandate and get independence and woohoo, we're out of the fucking UK? I thought that's what everybody wanted, apparently. But all of a sudden now they just want to stop Brexit. They've completely changed their attitude. For a while it was brewing beneath the surface somewhat, but it was there. You could tell. But now they're just open about it. And so many independence reporters are so blinded by everything that this bitch and her little beta Blackford parrot says that they can't see past them. It's unbeknown to me how she gets away with half the shit she does these days. She just dangles an independence card, and that's enough for people. Calling on MPs to vote with us to revoke Article 50. And of course, if that vote was revoked, you people would be responsible, majorly responsible, for the destruction of democracy, which you've been in favour of all along. You know, from day one they've been arguing to remain in the European Union at all fucking costs. So they've been staunch supporters of destroying democracy in the process. For a party that proclaims to stand for inclusion and diversity, they've been hell-bent on creating division, haven't they? And that goes for in Scotland as well. And they're also call a halt on the Brexit process, or at least hold a second EU referendum with Remain on the ballot paper and No Deal not on the ballot paper. Thanks to them, as well as many others. You know what I mean? Fucking hell, get real, you fat wee shit. Scotland did not vote for Brexit, but why did they not vote for Brexit? Oh god, the other thing they conveniently forget, which if you're from Scotland you might be aware of. They told people to vote Remain, because if they were to vote Leave, the premise for independence would never ever arise. That's what they were told, so they voted Remain. They've then taken the vote of Remain, and they've then changed the narrative to make it seem as if we all woke up, kissed our Junker poster that's on our wall, you know, went down the stairs, put on our pro-EU radio, and then went down to vote, off our own accord, to remain in the European Union because we love it so fucking dearly. And if that really was true, then explain why the loss of seats occurred. I don't need to go into any of that shit. My point is, of course, that a major reason for why Scotland supposedly voted to remain, overwhelmingly, supposedly, is because of the way they told people to vote. It was tactical voting. So, it fucking does my nut, and every interview is the same. Nobody ever calls them out on it. Never. And the same for that helmet head. Given all we know about the devastation Brexit would cause, now how do we know there's any devastation? We've only got your word for it. It was only a couple of months ago with an interview with Jon Snow when Sturgeon clearly said she could be wrong. She openly admits that. So, despite a year and a half of campaigning vigorously, claiming that it will be a catastrophe and a cliff edge, she then makes everything she made up until that point seem a wee bit more questionable. All of a sudden, you're not so confident in the things you claim. All of a sudden, you admit you could be wrong. Now, that's not the sort of thing you say if you know for a fact it's devastation. Tonight's votes are also an opportunity to rule out the worst form of Brexit, which includes Brexit. Yes, that's right, Brexit. Oh, having been rejected for the third time, Theresa May's shambolic deal is dead. Good, thank fuck. And give Parliament the time and space it needs to find consensus. Oh yes, I'm sure they'll get that with you fucking chirping away. Single market customs union, single market customs union. So that people decide votes when we see detail of what is selected later. Today's vote is not on a preferential basis, so there may be an opportunity to keep alive least worst options against no deal, hard deal, Brexit. Oh, fuck off, you fuck. No deal, hard deal. What a joke. You know what I mean? What's that? All eyes in the SNP, as of last night, the Scots Nats were in deep discussion about voting for Common Market 2.0. and Labour could whip for it, except Mandy and Co to be very upset. May has wasted almost 3 years only consulting herself and extreme Brexiteers, the extreme Brexiteers being the only ones that are willing to fucking get us out with no deal, but they're somehow now deemed extreme Brexiteers. What does that make you then? An extreme Remainer? What the fuck, man? Remain lost. So, why are we even having this conversation? I have limited confidence in Westminster, as I have limited confidence in you, Blackford. But the SNP people do all it can to build consensus. I'm sure you will. Just before or after you pass some more mandatory quota systems. People are fed up with Brexit. We're also fed up with the SNP, as you're going to find out. Any pretense that Scotland is treated as an equal partner in the UK is going out the window, and whatever happens now, it's clear that the only way to properly protect ourselves, our interests, is with independence. See what he's done here? He's rounded it off nicely for you all. So you come away from that if you're an independence diehard going, oh, fucking right, oh, fucking Blackbird's banging on about independence, woo. But what did he say up there? What the fuck did he say up there? I want to revoke Article 50. He's spinning you a yarn, man. What skin is it off their nose if the UK flanches out of the European Union? If they're going for independence, why do they care so fucking much? It shouldn't bother them. Is it because they're going to need them in the future to beg for the pound? I doubt it. It's more to do with the fact they want to remain in the European Union, but they would rather not risk a referendum to do it. Because if it failed, they'd be so fucked. And that would be a future I would love to see a little glimpse into, but nonetheless. Don't be fooled by these fucking idiots. They're taking a piss out of real Scottish nationalists in their attempts to pander every minority under the sun. You know what I mean? Peace.